Hey, what is happening, Cowboys Nation? And thank you for joining us on this Friday night. Um, I've referred to this week as Bitter Pill Week. We all swallowed one. Wasn't a lot of fun, but we have a pretty special edition today. First of all, I have to say, get well, Mass. So sorry you couldn't join us. I hope you are feeling better soon. But in all of that, I had some great friends step up, and my good friend Bryan Broaddus is my guest co-host this evening. Thanks, Bryan.
Hello.
Then,
yes.
Yeah. You kind of go without introduction into the Cowboys world, but I skipped over some of the things, but we all know a former NFL scout, Cowboys.com now is on several of their shows, and we listen to him every day in the afternoon on 105.3 The Fan.
Thank you.
Nation.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
I've got our original hype guy, Mike Tagg from Cowboys Nation, does an amazing show, him and Kelly Canine there in Cowboys Cave. Thank you for joining us, Mike.
No, I appreciate it. It's an honor, especially being with all of you and Bryan. Honor to be in the same show with you.
Right on. And then my dear friend, who I talk to quite a bit about, my beloved Huskies, Roman Tomashoff. He is with the Huskies, Locked On Huskies podcast. He also writes for Sports Illustrated UWFanNation, and he is also going to be on the other side of the ball talking some Patriots side of it and maybe giving us a little insight to what Bill and the guys might be handing us on Sunday. Thanks, Roman, for being here.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. It's an honor. I mean, as somebody who does, I love watching the Huskies every day, but as somebody who loves just covering them as much as I do, it's really fun to just talk about my true fandom, which is the Patriots, because living up here in Seattle, I am absolutely insufferable about it. And it's just good to let somebody else have that. I do have to correct you. My last name is Tomashoff, but don't feel bad. I had a baseball coach spell that wrong every day for 7 years. So it happens all the time.
Well, Roman, meant to ask you that.
Yeah, Roman, with this love you have for the Patriots, it's nice knowing you, and you could push on to another show if you want to.
That's what I'm saying.
No, you've got the goods on us for a lot of championships over the years. So congratulations to you guys for that, for sure.
I appreciate that. It felt really good. I've been to 2 parades myself, so you go. It's very fun.
I was a young man the last time this team won a Super Bowl, so yeah, I actually was fortunate enough to win the Super Bowl after that. So as you can see in my picture, I was a young man at one time, and now I'm an old man still waiting for him to have that parade that you're talking about.
It's a fun experience. I'm sure you know that very well.
Yeah. The Green Bay parade, it lasted all of 7 minutes to just go around the city of Green Bay. Took us all about 7 minutes. Matter of fact, we landed the plane. We came back from New Orleans. We got on the bus and we did the parade as we're driving back to the stadium. So we did the parade the same day that we got home, which was a lot of fun. It really, really was.
Sure. Hey, Bryan, can I ask you one question about that?
Sure.
Always been on my mind. So that year, Dallas had Green Bay's number those 90s. So
every year. Yeah, never beat them.
Even during that season, the Cowboys beat them. I think it was like 21-6. We had like 7 field goals or whatever it was.
Sure.
Green Bay, I believe Green Bay wanted Dallas so bad in the playoffs because they want to be. They won the Super Bowl. Did any of the players still have any of that kind of like, man, we still didn't beat Dallas, or any of the fans? I was just curious.
Well, I will say this. There's 2 good things about it. In fact, we do have a Patriots fan here. We did beat New England in that Super Bowl, one of the ones that Bill Parcells lost. So, but, what's interesting, and it's a great question, Mike, because Bob Harlan, who was the president of the Packers, we all know his son, Kevin Harlan, the very talented play-by-play guy for Westwood One and then, and all of CBS and stuff. And Mr. Harlan, one day, he's, we get home field advantage in the playoffs. We go on a great run. We win all these games in a row, get home field. And Mr. Harlan goes, man, we're going to finally get Dallas. Yeah, we're going to get Dallas up here in our setting, and we're going to take care of that. And I looked at him and I said, Mr. Harlan, no disrespect. I go, Carolina is an expansion team, 2nd year in the league. We've proven we can't beat that team in Dallas. I think we might be better off playing Carolina. And he thought about it for a second. He says, Bryan, you're right about that. So nobody misses the Cowboys. Because I can't tell you, being from Dallas, living in Dallas currently, nobody, in Green Bay, I'll never forget Reggie White. We beat San Francisco in the divisional game, and now it's a chance to go to Dallas to play the Cowboys for the right to go to a Super Bowl. And I remember walking past, we're at Candlestick, and I remember walking past Reggie White. And, Reggie was taking the tape off his hands. He looked all down. I mean, he really, really looked down and sad. And I go, Rev, what's up, man? I mean, everybody in the locker room is just living, having a great time. Reggie goes, Eric Williams. And I go, excuse me? And he goes, Eric Williams. He goes, I got to play Eric Williams next week. That's the only man in all the years that I was with Reggie White that I felt like that he never wanted to play Eric Williams, the offensive tackle for the Dallas Cowboys, because Eric made it really difficult on him. Eric would poke you in the eye, hit you in the midsection, push you down, step on you. Reggie just didn't want to play him. And I think a lot of us in Green Bay at the time didn't want to play the Cowboys. We just did. I mean, when Carolina beat them, when Aikman threw that pass and, Irvin was hurt. And it was just like, it was kind of like Troy threw that pass like, damn, this is over.
It ended that year.
The Dallas Cowboys, and my first year in Dallas was in 1999, and I remember, we start off really well. This is Chan Gailey administration. Start off really well, like 3-0, and then Michael goes down in Philadelphia. And to me, that's when the Dallas Cowboys, as we knew it, that Super Bowl elite roster team, that's when it died right there. Because Troy was starting to, Troy played in 2000, the concussions, the back, everything was kind of, Emmett was going down. It was an older team. The cap had got us. And that's not an excuse. We just weren't good enough. But I just know living in Green Bay that anytime that Dallas was eliminated from competition, which wasn't often, we were happy with that. Because we owned the 49ers. We just couldn't beat the Cowboys. Couldn't beat the Cowboys.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah. Well, not for, good times for the Cowboys, bad times for me in Green Bay.
Right.
Yeah. And then I go work in Dallas and we can't beat Green Bay. They get this guy, they get Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. I mean, they get Aaron Rodgers and the next thing you know, it's 3rd and 19 and he's just completing passes on me. Or I'm standing in the corner of the end zone as Des Bryant's going up for a ball literally 10 feet in front of me. And the official to that side called it a catch, which he was absolutely right. And then Mike McCarthy standing on the side of the field, and it's the only challenge he won all year. The only one he won, that one in that game. And it was crazy.
And Roman, the picture that they caught of Brian's face, because that is the Des caught it. There's a picture of
Brian, I'm going to need you to send me this. I need to see this picture. I'm sorry if that hurts, but I'm very curious now because I've not seen that one.
It's crazy, Roman. I was literally 4th and 2, and I'm standing on the field there at Lambeau Field, and I'm thinking, okay, what are we going to do here? I mean, you're far enough. I couldn't get close enough to the bench to kind of hear or see what personnel was going in. And so we were all kind of down, myself and David Hellman, who we see on Fox, as DallasCowboys.com, one of the up-and-coming stars of this stuff. And Hellman and I are standing there, and Nick Eatman too, and the ball, I mean, you see Cole Beasley running a shallow cross. And I'm thinking, Tony's going to hit the shallow cross. We're going to get the first, and we're going to run this clock down. I mean, maybe we can leave Rodgers no time. I mean, Rodgers is playing on a bad calf and still kicking our ass. But all of a sudden, I look up, and the ball now is coming towards us. And then I look down, and like Des Bryant has got Sam Shields like in this terrible position. Like Sam Shields is inside of him, but he's all crumpled up and he can't, and I see Dez go up. Literally right in front of me, he goes up and he high points that ball and then it comes down and as he's diving for the pylon, I'm thinking, this is a catch. Hellman looks at me and goes, and I'm like, yeah, we're all kind of, and Hellman looks at me and goes, they're going to overrule this thing. It's not going to be a catch. And I literally turned to him and I grabbed him. I grabbed his shoulders what are you talking about? And he goes, they're going to overturn this. They're going to do it. And I'm like, no, they're not. He's a catch. It's a catch. And sure enough, McCarthy challenges the damn thing. And they overturned that when Gene Starstruck was the official. And when he walked, he was standing in front of us and then he walked back to where the ball was. And I said, I go, damn it, David's right here. They're going to overturn this thing. And Dave's like, I told you. They're saying, no, he didn't make a football move and all that stuff like that. And I'm like going, he caught the ball and he comes down on top of his shields and he's diving for the pylon. How is that not a football move? And I swear to God, that official, I was standing 5 feet from him. He marks it as a catch right there. And to this day, it was one of the prettiest plays. It was one of the ballsiest plays I've ever seen a quarterback throw. For a 4th and 2, Tony's going, I'm going to go one-on-one with Dez on the outside against Sam Shields, and we're going to make this play. And lo and behold, they made that play. But there's a couple of great sideline shots. Proud Brian is one. Another one, that was when Mo Claiborne, we beat St. Louis in a game at the old Edwards Jones Dome there in St. Louis.
Right.
Crazy game. And Mo gets an interception. He's walking by me. And the camera gets me with this look of, I've got this goofy smile on my face. And in my mind, I'm thinking, it's about effing time. That's exactly what I was thinking in my head. I go, it's about effing time that you made a play. And it's an LSU guy getting on another LSU guy right there. That was, but I've been a part of a couple of bad sideline shots, I think, kind of.
I was all in on Claiborne. I had got Claiborne. I got the jersey.
You got the jersey? You had it all, huh?
You bought in, huh?
I thought it was going to be it.
Man, I tell you what, you can't trust these LSU guys. You just can't. I'm sorry, you just can't trust us.
As someone who has a lot of Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson stock in Dynasty, I'm gonna say that those ones I'm okay with, but I was right there.
Well, I tell you what, when you nowadays when you draft an LSU kid, and and Houston's going through it right now a little bit with Stingley, the corner from LSU, that the kid can't stay healthy, and so there's always those LSU kids that, some of them make it play well, and then there's others that, and I go, we'll probably talk college football here a little bit later, but yeah, it's there's sometimes you got to be careful with those kids. There's some that play really, really well, and like you mentioned, the receivers and all that, and then there's some others that, play defense, and you think, man, these kids are going to be elite, and they don't pan out, just don't.
Right. Well, I heard you all talking about a story this evening, right before you were closing out on G-Bag today, that Jamar Chase almost wasn't.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah,
Right.
his national signing day, he was going to announce that he was going to TCU. And the NFL Network flipped him and another player. They said, okay, we're not going to carry Chase's announcement. And it gave him time to think about what he was doing, and he flipped committed and went to LSU from TCU just because the NFL Network took him off the announcement list. So
didn't the kid that they flipped him with didn't really ever do anything?
It was USC. Yeah, it was a player at USC that transferred to Memphis, and he just wasn't very good. Yeah.
Yeah, wild, absolutely wild. I don't want to kind of. I feel like this Cardinals game has been totally hashed out by everybody, everything all week long. If Brian, can you give me the one thing that you feel like they're going to have to fix or not let happen again on each side of the ball going forward?
Yeah, I'll try and make it quick. I mean, everybody's kind of harping on the red zone stuff. That clearly is a problem. They got to find a way to separate on the back end. They do miss Dalton Schultz, I believe, more than Ezekiel Elliott, because I think they can make up with running the ball down there. I mean, they had a touchdown in the Jets game, a 6-yard touchdown that was called back, with Tyron Smith getting called for holding. So the capability of the backs, I think Hunter Lipke is a guy that actually needs to get a little bit more of a burn down there as well. Tough guy, 3rd and 1, hand him the ball, he gets 9 yards. You got to be impressed with that. The stuff with the running game, I think we went into it a little bit with the fits, the run fits, the linebackers. Everybody's really interested in kind of getting up the field, sacking the quarterback, being real anxious with that. You gotta stay at home. Micah Parsons said the other day on the long run that Dobbs had, he said, I took a chance. I gambled. Quarterbacks usually hand that ball off, and he says, oh, this guy pulled and now, you're off and running. And they were in a bad situation because of some angles and stuff, and they were able to clean that up. But down in the red zone, they have got to find ways to create more opportunities. I don't know if it's creativity, because of creativity I saw in the Jets game where they brought Tolbert tight wing and then tried to run him through the trash and then throw the ball back to him. and the Jets had 3 guys there. They tried to run a creativity play with CeeDee Lamb on an option. They didn't block 2 guys. I can understand not blocking 1, but not blocking 2. There's creativity things they're trying to do. Execution has been a problem. Finding space in the red zone has been a problem. Your quarterback, I don't think, is the most comfortable when it comes to throwing the fades. I don't think there's that. There's things when guys are open in the end zone. He's really good with those kinds of passes. But you're asking, to me, throw the ball up. Let Gallup go get it. Let Lamb go get it. Lamb couldn't even get up. He was so right. He thought he got held. But I think a lot of it has to do, they're trying creativity stuff. Execution is hurting them. Spacing's hurting them. And then they're also, the things with the penalties and stuff. I'll tell you what, with the Cowboys, I think it's really hard for them. And even in the NFL in this day and age, you make somebody drive 10, 12, 13 plays to go score, you are going to get a penalty along the way. Something bad is going to happen along the way. You're going to get a sack. If you follow those, like the Sharp group that talks about numbers and things like that, the analytics, they say if you immediately get a sack, it kills any drive that you have, or you get a negative play. Some teams overcome it. Dallas, I think, is one of those teams that it's a little bit of a struggle right now for them to have to overcome anything that might happen to them down in the red zone, especially with the way McCarthy likes to take 10, 12 play drives and try and score.
Right. I can say one of my biggest frustrations was there in the fourth quarter when it was run, pass down there getting in the red zone. I was like, my grandmother's been dead for 30 years and she knew you were going to run past it at this point in time. And that part was super frustrating. Let me shift to this. Mike, I'm going to ask you this first. Were you caught off guard with the Devin Harper? I'm not going to say they just released him. I think they gambled. They gambled and they lost by releasing him. Your thoughts on the linebacker room and maybe the lack of depth we have and how you think we might compensate for it?
No, I thought the linebackers were thin to begin with. Overshown getting hurt probably didn't help things a lot. The Harper, I'll defer to Bryan. He's probably more of an expert on it than me. I have faith in the scouts or there's something there. They didn't release him just to say, hey, let's just get rid of him. There had to have been something that maybe we don't know. But I think the linebackers are thin. I thought, again, I'll defer to Bryan, is I thought they liked Curse and they play some of those safeties in that hybrid role.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right. You're right.
They've got that. So I'm not overly concerned. What I would be concerned with, my last thing on the Cardinals game is, Eugene Lockhart came, he pulled over and called my show because he was so frustrated. And it's just I'm frustrated with the Cowboys losing the games that they should win. And mentally, I don't know if it's there. And again, I'll defer to Bryan on that side of the game. But I don't understand how the Cowboys mentally allow these things to happen. We saw it with the Packers. We saw it with the Jags. I just thought in the first 2 games, the team felt different. The mindset seemed different. And they weren't going to allow that to happen again. And that's what's got me nervous, is there it happened again with the Cardinals.
No, man, Mike, you're absolutely right. And good eyes on your part there. I think, to me, the thing that, with Harper, it's unfortunate he had the holding penalty. He's a kid that when you talk about how he plays, the playing ability, they love the way he runs. They love the way he was able to close. They thought he was a sure tackler. They liked him in some coverage stuff. But, that's – they need the spot. They were yo-yoing Hoffman, the center, up, they went up and down with him, off the practice squad. They needed the spot. They ran out of the spots. And, we learned, I didn't know that I think that it was surprising to me that he was player 53 on the roster. That was surprising. I kind of felt like, Eric Scott, but this goes to show you, if you're a draft pick of the Dallas Cowboys, you basically have 2 years. And if you don't get it done in those 2 to 3 years, and you're not showing, that ability to have you here, they're going to move on from you. They're Junior Fehoko. They are going to protect their draft. Now, if you're a draft guy from 2-3 years ago, well, you could be expendable. And I think that Harper was expendable. I don't think it was just because he got called on the holding. I don't see it.
That was going to be my question.
Yeah, it's it's a 61-yard penalty, but I think it's more to what Mike was talking about with the hybrid linebackers that are playing safeties. If you look at how the Cowboys play, the majority of their snaps are either nickel or dime package stuff, and it's always involved with those safeties. And they're going to use Curse, they're going to use Wilson, they're going to use Wanye Thomas, Bell. They're going to use those guys, and they feel like that. Maybe DQ feels like, Dan Quinn feels like that he, with those guys, he has more confidence in playing that role instead of having to play with a guy like Harper.
So one thing I did notice is, there's been a lot of chatter on Twitter, X, the timeline, that LVE is lost a step. He was awful. He was out of position. Yeah, he probably didn't have a super great game. I'm not going to agree with them that even the people going last year saying, oh, he was bad last year too, because we know that is absolutely not the case. One thing that I pulled up is that both he and Curse were the only two defensive players the last two games that took 100% of the defensive snaps. Yeah. And they took 69% the very first game. Do you feel like that could be very wearing down, especially with LVE having the green dot and having to be that quarterback of the defense out there? Is that something that Dan's going to have to rotate someone else in and give him a rest? Because even Micah, who does never want to get off the field, only took 90% of the snaps this last game. Is that something that you feel like there has to be some help there?
Go ahead, Mike. You got this one.
Yeah, no, LVE, I think he's solid. I don't think he's what he was his rookie year, but I think he's solid. He plays hard. There was some video, maybe you're talking about it, where the offensive lineman had him by one arm, and it's like, hey, man, bust through that, get intense. But, like I said at the, after the game, there's enough blame to go around. I'm not going to judge LVE on this Cardinals game because there's plenty of it to go around. I think he's solid. I think he's a leader. I still believe in LVE, and I think he's an important part of this defense.
Yeah, the problem they're running into right now is Damone Clark's not playing very well. And that's the thing. And if Clark was playing better, then you would say, okay, we'll put him on and take Van Der Esch off and give Van Der Esch a rest. I think as a whole, the linebackers, the safeties, the front against the Cardinals for at least for a half. The run fits I mentioned a bunch. They were bad. They were overrunning plays. That was bad. You guys and gals have the ability to look at the all 22 if you want, NFL films, NFL.com, that kind of group. And, you can learn and study. You don't have to be some former NFL scout to see, man, it looks like a bad play right there. Well, why? Oh, it looks like this guy went way too far outside, or this guy went way too far up the field. I think that's the thing with Van Der Esch. He's having to play a lot of snaps because, again, one of my LSU brethren, that linebacker, Damone Clark, is not playing very well. And I think if Clark was playing better, you could probably take Van Der Esch off the field and he would get a little bit of a rest.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed is that, we have seen Van Der Esch at edge, which is kind of a new thing that Dan Quinn's tried out. And I'm not so sure that component was very relying and essential on Overshown being back there also being that big component with it.
Yeah, I think you're on to something there. I think Overshown, Clark, they were going to be the inside guys as they tried to put Van Der Esch on the edge as a pass rusher. That's something that they maybe a little different look, wrinkle that you would see if Overshown hadn't gotten hurt.
Yeah. Okay, we are now going to push away that Cardinals game and
Roman, welcome to the program.
Hi. Yeah, I'm still here. Hey.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. So before we head on to the New England part of it all,
there we go.
I have a fun little game for us all to play.
Oh.
And so we are going to guess, because I have a list of quarterbacks, 34 of their QBR. We are going to guess the last 12 players and see if you guys can come up with who you think are the bottom 12 and QBR. So you know what, Roman? You go first. Give me one.
Zach Wilson's definitely on that list.
Yes, he absolutely is at number 33. He's not even in the
Bang.
top 32. Gone. That should surprise no one at this point in time.
How about? Oh, Mike's gonna. Okay, I was gonna say.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'll
No,
just
I
get.
mean,
Can I guess when Chicago's Chicago's quarterback? Justin Fields. Fields.
34.
34.
Absolutely dead last on my list.
I'm
here.
surprised with them. I just thought Chicago.
I am too.
I did
am-
too. I'm
It's
too.
disappointing to see, truly.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really.
I really thought it was going to be a dogfight between them and the Lions, to tell you the truth, because I thought both Green Bay and Vikings had regressed so much that I thought it was going to be between them. So,
Yeah.
all right, Mike, give me someone. That
I'm
you think-
gonna go with a surprise one to see if maybe not the obvious, but I'm just gonna take a guess of Burrow.
He is. He absolutely is. He is at number 28.
Wow.
Yeah, I am so glad that I have
LSU
him
guys
in-
can't trust them at all.
Right. That, and I have him on 2 of my fantasy teams. Thank you so
same
much,
here.
Joe Cool.
He'll come around. Don't worry
I-
about it, man.
I
He'll
hope
get
so.
around.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
Is there a guy at Tennessee on this list?
Oh, there has to be.
Let's see. Yes, Mr. Tannehill is number 32.
There we go.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm scared to ask, but I'm pretty sure he is. Is Mac Jones on this list as well?
He is not.
Let's go. All right, this is
Right?
this is what I like to hear.
Right?
I knew I
Just
shouldn't have.
downtown.
I
He's
knew
only
it.
Number 21.
Damn it! I knew I shouldn't have picked the Cowboys to win this week. Mac Jones on that
Right,
list.
Yeah. No.
How about
Mac Jones is actually number 15.
Yeah,
Middle of
he's
the road. That's
middle
that's
road.
all you need.
Right.
Middle road
Game
Mac.
Manager.
Right?
How about another Jones? How about Daniel Jones?
Daniel is. He is number 21.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
But is that the Daniel Jones that Tiki wants? He'll take him over Dak 100 times out of 100.
Right.
Tiki left his show today. Tiki.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, there was a lot of I don't know who he does his work. Is it Tiki and Tierney or something like that? Or maybe there's somebody filling in. But his co-host was going off on Tiki, basically calling him out like I used to with Mickey, like watch the games, that kind of stuff. And the co-host, and finally Tiki said, I'm turning my mic off. He just got up and left. He just said, I'm not going to sit here and listen to you talk like that to me. He goes, I don't yell, I don't scream and all that. But Tiki makes a lot of money to be doing this. I don't know if I'd turn my mic off. I'd just kind of sit there and let it happen.
Yeah.
I'm like, what
Was
the
that
heck?
the Jets one? Was that?
Oh, yeah. No, he was the guy who was, I don't know who it was. The guy going after him is a Jets fan.
Yes, I heard that.
And Tiki and the guy was basically saying, well, yeah, you hate the Jets so bad. And, you don't watch the games. You don't know what the Jets are doing. You're working. You're doing the Washington Commanders game this week. You're not paying it. I mean, like he went after Tiki about it, and Tiki's like, bro, why you going this route on me? But it was pretty bad.
Yeah,
pretty bad.
I heard that.
Wow.
How many more we got? We got the Giants.
We've
We
I
got.
see some in the chat.
I've got.
How about this? How about the Commanders?
Oh, Sam Howell. Yeah.
Sam Howell, I see.
And
that.
I'm
is.
Is he on it?
He's number
Yeah.
24.
Yeah.
So we have what? We have 6 of them so far.
Uh-huh.
I
Of
said
these-
Bryce Young's on there too.
Bryce Young, good call.
Bryce Young is number 30. Good job.
Ugh.
Number 30.
What about Ritter? EJ.
He's just one higher. Good job. Number
Yeah.
29. Yep. So,
Man, we wiping out every. Who's that?
Baker.
Yeah, I was thinking
Baker?
Tampa. I think Baker's okay. I think he's above the line.
Pretty well.
He might be in that near with
Baker's
Mac
number
Jones.
8. He's number
Okay,
18.
Yeah, he's in the Mac
Baker.
Jones
Look at
class.
that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
He's hanging in the middle of the bus. Yeah. He's.
Did we say how about our guy in Denver,
Oh,
Russell Wilson?
let him cook.
Okay. So, yeah, he is actually.
My buddy Sean
cooking-
Payton just completely falling apart there.
They are having.
texted him the other day.
Having a time.
I told him, I go, hang in there, coach. He's like, thanks, Brian. I'm like, he's saying thanks, Brian, because he's making millions of dollars coaching football now. That's
Yeah.
what he's
Right,
doing. No,
right.
Sean's
No.
is a struggle. He's not on the list.
I
is
heard he's been
not.
playing good.
Has he been playing well?
Yeah, my brother's
Yeah.
a Broncos fan, and he said he hasn't been the problem. He's not.
Oh, okay.
He's in about 13. Yeah.
Is he 13th?
Yeah.
My
He's on the list so
apologies.
far.
How do you get beat by 70 points then if you're the 13th best quarterback in the league?
It was a lot of turnover. I mean, my brother I didn't watch the
Yeah,
game.
I imagine.
They,
Right.
They put in some bad
So.
positions. But yeah. I love the comment he made about the coach, and then it comes back to bite him. That's just bad karma. But
Right.
I like Peyton.
I can tell you all that everybody else remaining that you are trying to guess has a QBR of 50 or less.
Wow.
50 or Stroud, how about Stroud as a rookie?
Stroud is at 20.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Stroud.
And he's exactly at 50. Yep.
All right, did we say Richardson or Gardner Minshew, both those guys?
Richardson he is at number 27.
Minshew might be a little bit
Two.
above, right? He looked like he was okay in that game.
Yeah. He's I think I'm showing him at 13.
Sounds really terrible as a guess. Is Trevor Lawrence on that list?
He is.
Wow.
Number 26.
Well, my other guy, Doug Peterson, doing a stellar job there.
Sunshine is having himself a little bit of a time.
What about Garoppolo?
That's what I was going to ask next one.
Bonky G is number 17.
Oh,
Wow.
Kenny Pickett's 100% on that list, right?
He absolutely is at 31. Good job, Roman. Good job. Okay. So
I think we got them all, didn't we?
No, we have 3. We have
What?
3 left. And one of them should not surprise you too much. One of them really is going to surprise you. And the other one, he's a guy. He's a guy we actually kind of know.
So I saw it in the comments. It said Jalen Hurts.
He is.
No way.
Jalen Hurts is at 23 with a QBR of 44.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah.
3-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Tush push. Gotta love the tush push.
Works every time.
It does. It does. I mean, it's debatable if was Richard Sherman right?
Nah.
No?
Nah.
You can't do that? Or you
Nah.
can?
No, he's right. But, I mean, like I said, they're not going to change the rule. I think we asked Stephen Jones about it. Stephen's on the competition committee, and he gives us it's something we look into. And I'm like, that means you're not going to change it. They're not going to change. They're going to change that rule.
Yeah. Well, someone in the comments got one of them.
Oh, Watson?
Yep.
Yeah.
Watson's sitting at 22. Now,
Man, Cleveland ain't playing bad. I guess they're really good on defense.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
defense.
so we have one. Like
Dak.
I said, we
Dak.
no.
I'm just.
No.
You said we. I just assume. I'm not like it's Dak.
We do know him from a couple years past.
Is this Andy Dalton?
Bingo.
Dalton, yeah.
That's him at number 25.
Yeah.
Yep. And that would be your bottom
Okay.
14.
Cleveland, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Houston, Atlanta, Carolina, Commanders, Cincinnati, Giants, Chicago, Tennessee, and the Jets. I was just kind of writing them down. Man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, which one of those teams is going to make the playoffs? Philadelphia, right? Philly will. Jacksonville?
Jacksonville probably will.
Jacksonville could, yeah.
Jacksonville. Do you think Atlanta wins the South?
I think it depends on Carr if he gets healthy.
Yeah, that could be that could be a bad problem for them right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cincinnati?
I think Cincinnati's going to start. They're going to heat up.
They'll be fine.
They better do something.
Yeah.
They really
I think everybody else is kind of dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 They're dead men walking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait, we didn't say Cleveland, right? Cleveland will make this thing, make the playoffs?
No. They're because that's a tough division too.
Roman says no.
I like the confidence there, Roman.
I love their defense. I love everything they're doing defensively, but the offense, no, it doesn't do it for me.
Yeah. You know what? Let's shift to Sunday and the Patriots.
There's no way Mac Jones, she should have been on that list. I'm just telling you right now.
I personally stunned he's not.
Let me ask you this though.
I honestly double checked it. I went, wait a minute. Are you sure? Okay.
Roman, what? Okay, as you watch your team play, I know I've watched your team play, but I'm interested in what you see with your team. what is your path to victory against Dallas? What is the path? If it's offensively, defensively, what's going to have to happen for you guys to win this football game?
It's going to be the thing that it comes down for me more than anything else is execution along the offensive line.
Yeah.
Because the offensive line has just scared the hell out of me through the first couple of weeks. Obviously, no starting guards on Wenu and Cole Strange missed the first game. And then Trent Brown didn't play, I believe it was the Miami game.
Right.
And neither guard looked very good in their first game back. So they all kind of were there. And then there were a lot of weird things like with the weather and whatever in the Jets game. Not that that's an excuse, but that's still something that I saw. And that's the thing that I'm just going to be watching more than anything come Sunday is just, all right, is the offensive line looking at the very least solid? Because obviously we all know what Micah Parsons can do. And then from there, because I think he's still going to just be a huge factor in the game. And the passing game has been fine. I haven't been angry about it, but I haven't necessarily been happy with the steps that have been made coming from Matt Patricia calling plays. Right. And I think that a lot of that just has to do with blocking, where if you go back and watch the Dolphins game especially, Mac had no time to throw all night.
None. Yeah, none.
And it was frustrating, truly.
Yeah, I think I saw some, and I'm not a big analytics guy, but I think I saw something where like 36% of his dropbacks were pressures.
Yeah.
And that's been a problem because I know watching the tape of you guys, it's been a problem with the tackles, the rotation, the low, and guys like that. I mean, the Patriots tried to draft some young guys, some young talented guys. The problem is those guys aren't ready to play. So now they're playing with guys that they signed as free agents or they traded for. And, it's kind of, I think the thing with Strange, I think Strange, he's young. I just don't see a really powerful guy inside. I see, the problem that you run into is when you play with teams that have big, heavy inside guys, he tends to be like a one-legged football player. He just doesn't have the power. And, Andrews tries to help him as much as he can. And then there's a lot of times where, like I say, pocket collapses and then you get pressure up the middle. And a lot of it was with what Strange. I will say this though, and I was we had a guy on from WEEI today, Boston station, and I did say this. I go, yeah, you might have drafted Strange because that's something Belichick does. He will always act like he's the smartest guy in the room, and he really is. I mean, he's brilliant. But the thing about it is, he's usually will take a guy from a directional school, one of those things, directional college place. But in real life, Christian Gonzalez fell in his lap. Yep. If the draft god said, the draft god said, hey, listen, Patriots, we know you want to take somebody from Lenore Ryan here, but we're going to let you take this best corner in the draft. We're going to let that guy.
No one would listen to me when I kept saying
that guy. I'm telling you what.
It hurts my heart to love a Duck as much as I did.
Develop at Colorado.
Colorado.
We talked about that.
Yeah,
that was our out. That because we had to accept that this Duck is so good.
Man,
But,
I mean, no,
he is phenomenal.
He will walk. He's going to take CeeDee Lamb. I know he is. I mean, because I saw him. I saw him walk with Garrett Wilson for 60% of the snaps. I seen him walk 60%.
And Hill.
Yeah, he'll walk.
He took care of
it doesn't
AJ
matter.
Brown.
It doesn't matter. This kid, if you say, okay, we're going to get away from him, we're going to walk him into the slot. No, he'll go walk in the slot with you.
Right.
I keep telling people that. They keep saying, like 80-some% that he's played on the outside. And I was like, but in college, he would go in the slot. And
he'll play in the slot.
Twice.
Yeah.
And that's actually it's one of the most interesting things that, like, for me personally, is how big of a switch up that is from a normal Belichick defense.
Right.
Because in so many previous years, it's been okay. Like in the old days before Christian Gonzalez, when they didn't have a true number one. Like I liked watching J.C. Jackson in this defense from a couple of years ago, but I was never sold on him as a true number one guy. And they would kind of, instead of having him shadow a CeeDee Lamb or whoever else, they would have him say, okay, we're going to have you take away the number 2 guy, and then, like, for example, when they were playing Kansas City, they would just bracket Tyreek Hill.
Right.
And that's kind of what I'm interested to see, where they do that with, Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup, whoever it might be, because that's what's going to happen on the other side of the field. And that's kind of another thing that I'm personally concerned about in this game is Jonathan Jones has struggled with injuries. The whole Jack Jones thing, which we won't get into. They've struggled with injuries on the outside. Like, remember in the Miami game when Marcus Jones went out and they brought in Sean Wade. I texted a friend of mine. I said, "Yeah, this game's over. We don't need to watch it anymore. Sean Wade's going to get cooked."
But I do have to say that both Bentley and I think Jennings are super underrated.
Bentley,
And I think, everybody's paying attention to Judon, but I think Uche, is it Uche?
Uche.
I think he's having a great
he's
season.
really good.
I think he's having a great season right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the thing, I went back and I looked at the thing that you're going to get from the Patriots is, and you start to break down their coverages, you're going to get something from Belichick that, like, he's going to throw a coverage in there that he doesn't play every week. He's going to throw something in there. He is going to give you the cover 3 stuff, which is a zone defense. He's going to play cover 1, which is a man defense. He's going to play sometimes with the 2 safeties, that kind of look. But against Miami, he threw something that I hadn't seen in a while. He threw what they call cover 6, where you play, it's a combination of cover 2 and then a cover 4, where you take half the field and you play man on one side and zone on the other. And so now you're given this look of, like, wait a minute. Yeah, wait a minute. What's going on here? The quarterback drops back. It's like, oh, is it man? Is it zone? And that's the thing that Belichick, he did that against Miami in week 2. And I felt like it's a good way. It's a nice little change up of something you don't often see. That little bit like, okay, you're trying to confuse the quarterback. And what's the one thing we all get mad as Dallas Cowboy fans when Dak Prescott throws interceptions and he doesn't see guys. It's we can live with the ones that are dropped or tipped or knocked in the air or whatever. We understand that, or routes are run poorly. But the ones where Dak doesn't see the defender, those are the ones that you blame on him and go, okay, that he's got to be better than that. I bet you Belichick will throw something at him. Now, I went back and looked when these 2 teams played in 2021, the overtime game, and I kind of was breaking down, and Dak was incredible that day. He's 36 of 51, I believe is what he was, 440-something yards. Of the 3 touchdowns he had, all 3 of them were what they call zero coverage. No safety help in the middle of the field, complete man across the board. So they call it cover 0 because of the no safety help. And I guarantee you, 3 touchdowns on a cover 0, Belichick is not going to play a man-to-man look like that. He's just, that kind of plays a little bit into Dak's strength. So I think he's going to mix some coverages on Dak, but I wouldn't be surprised if he comes up with something that makes Dak have to read what the coverage is. And if it's at cover 6 where, wait a minute, is it man? Is it zone? What am I seeing here? That's something that we know that Belichick will have ready on deck when these 2 teams meet.
That's just one of the biggest things for me personally. And then I'm really interested to see if the defensive line can just force bad throws. Because you talk a little bit about the edge rushers in Uche and Judon.
Yeah.
But I really like some of the guys they have in the middle. Christian Barmore has just been excellent.
Barmore had 4 pressures. I think it was in the Miami game. I think four quarterback hits. 4 quarterback hits in that. And you watch him. You're right about those guys. I mean, to me too, these linemen might not be household names,
right?
But they're good players. I mean, they're Dietrich Wise. I'm watching Dietrich Wise, and I'm like. I'm going, wait a minute, you don't run the ball at Dietrich Wise. He's a little bit like Tank Lawrence is for the Cowboys. He's a veteran. He's long. He knows how to get off blocks. You run the ball at him, he's going to find a way to extend you and then move you off the side and then get over there and make the play.
The other guy who I love watching in run defense is Devon Gotcha in the same light.
Now, how healthy is he right now? Is he dealing with a knee or an ankle? What's he dealing with right now?
It's something in the lower body. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head.
Sure.
But he has been practicing. It's been like limited as what he's been listed at, but he has been practicing this week.
Yeah. The thing that holds him in the game, the thing that will hold the Patriots in this game, because they don't score a lot of points, and maybe they'll score a bunch against the Cowboys. Who knows? But the one thing that will hold them in this in the game, I think, is their defense. Yeah. Their defense is good enough to kind of shut you down and to cause problems. I mean, they'll do things. It's Bryant, the corner.
Bryant.
Yeah, he's okay. Bryant, I was watching him play, and it reminded me like there was a player with the Cowboys back in the day named Orlando Scandrick. And so they moved Bryant into the slot. Well, okay, tight slot. All of a sudden, here comes the blitz. Right. You know, I mean, they'll bring secondary guys. I don't think, what's my guy? Jabril Peppers.
I love Jabril Peppers.
Jabril Peppers. Yeah. That's, all of a sudden, here's blitz with Jabril Peppers. They like slant one way, backers go the other. Okay, here comes Jabril Peppers. They fit, and now here comes a blitz. The Cowboys had better be ready. I think in this game for the Cowboys, you're going to get Broaddus back at center. You're going to get Martin back at guard, and it's going to be Udoga at left tackle. Tyron Smith ain't going to play in this game. So will the Patriots take advantage of Udoga, who gave up a pressure? They had 2 sacks the other day. They tried to they tried to double move. Dak kind of moved. He couldn't move. Bass got beat in front. So here's Udoga and Bass. They give up a sack, and the Patriots have got good pass rushers. They got 2 guys that can rush the passer, plus the pressure they bring from the secondary or the linebackers.
Would you move Tyler Smith out?
He practiced. Hell yes, I would. I mean,
Okay.
me personally, I thought that Tyron Smith was done this year. I thought, okay, we're done with Tyron Smith. That it's everything's over with Tyron Smith.
Death, taxes, Tyron Smith getting hurt. Those are 3 things we know for sure.
Well, I think what they're trying to do is just get him. If they could get 8 games out of him, they would be okay with that. I mean, really, that's kind of. His contract
for 35 that he's been out.
Well, see, that's the thing about it is they've got him on that contract where it's all incentive based, and you'll probably have him back next week in the 49er game, from what I understand and talking to people. But he's not going to play this week. It'll be now you get the other 2 back. And we'll see if that is good enough. But Udoga playing tackle, I don't know. If I'm the Patriots, I'm kind of looking at that like, okay, who do we like? I'm talking about attack. They're talking about attack and Strange. But if you're the Patriots fans, you're going, well, attack Udoga. That's the guy you go attack. I mean, everybody else you could probably, there'll be some good matchups, but. I mean, I'd take my best rusher and put him over Udoga and say, let's see if you're good enough to play me one-on-one.
So are you going to have a lot of tight ends to chip over there?
Maybe so, because McCarthy will panic with the game plan and he won't, he'll go into a shell. I mean, I think that Mike McCarthy, and this is probably bad for me to say, I think McCarthy, when they got to Saturday and figured out that they were down 3 linemen, McCarthy got the coaches together and said, okay, we got to take half this crap out of here. We can't do this. We can't do that. And Mike kind of jumped on himself about not getting guys ready, the backups. And this is what happens when you practice football. We have 8 red zone plays, 8 for the offense, 8 for the defense. Starters might get 7 of those snaps. Backup guy gets 1. Mike's probably to the point now, like, hey, with Tyron Smith and others missing practice the way we do at the end of the week, maybe I need to get 3 snaps for the backups and 5 snaps for the starters. I mean, he was kicking himself in the butt last time on the Monday for the press conference that he did not get his backups enough work. That was something that he's making a point of.
So, Brian, I like your point a lot when you talk about Udoga.
Yeah.
And one guy who I'm sure you love kind of as a draft guy is Keon White, the 2nd rounder they took from Georgia Tech.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm really excited to watch him in this game because I feel like Matt Judon can play wherever. Same with Josh Houston.
Sure.
That's a big thing with his defense, obviously.
Sure.
Is that flexibility. But I just love the power that Keon White has added to this defense. Yeah. And I think that he's somebody who just to keep an eye on that might just collapse the pocket throughout this game.
No, I think you're absolutely right about that, because to me that's the thing about watching the Patriots play, it's kind of that, and I'm not going to say old school like that 3-4 front where they just extend and they 2-gap, they look in, look out. I think they don't do that. That they will come off the ball and they will extend into the blocks, and then you see them kind of it's not like let's get up the field. It's let's control the line and then go. And they've got some guys up front. I mentioned, you talk about White. the linebacker Bentley. I mean, they've got guys that. Yeah, the thing I worry about Bentley is all of a sudden Cowboys run a zone play, and Bentley will just shoot the gap. I mean, he'll just run right through the gap and tackle for loss right there. If you're not keeping your eyes up as a lineman as you're moving and trying to secure down guys, this team could present a little bit of a problem for you there.
No, especially in the run game. I like that because and it's not just I love what they're doing with the linebackers, especially you talked about Jabril Peppers a minute ago. And I was just saying this to a friend of mine the other day where it's when you watch Jabril Peppers, this just feels like one of the first times in his career he's been utilized correctly as a defender.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great things about Belichick. But then you look behind him and you look at the safeties. I love Kyle Duggar. Kyle Duggar is just, I think, one of the most underrated safeties in all of football. Him and then the rookie from Sac State, who Marte Mapu. Just the athleticism and then just the downhill aspect that they provide in the run game is something that where I think that they're just so comfortable just getting off the edge where Bentley can kind of take a little bit more risks on the inside because they know that they're going to have extra help kind of off tackle. Man,
you know your team. I mean, that's exactly what the Patriots are. See, the thing with Kyle Duggar is they'll bring Peppers down, but Duggar's if you look at metrics again, he's a 50% back player. 25% of the time he's down in the box, but he's an occasional blitz guy, but he's probably going to be back and helping with what's going on the back end with the coverage. But man, they've got corners that can cover. I mean, they legitimately have corners, especially that Gonzalez. We talked about him earlier. I mean, that kid, he could take whoever you got. I wouldn't be surprised if Belichick says, "Oh wait, they think they're going to throw the ball here. They're going to try with Lamb." I wouldn't be surprised if he moves Gonzalez around, thinking, "Well, man, Lamb's going to be taken out here because Gonzalez is on him." Then no, but Gonzalez is on somebody else. And do you adjust? How quickly do you adjust and say, "Whoa, wait a minute, Gonzalez is now playing our number 2"? Belichick is going to come up with something that is going to mess with your mind. And then when you kind of figure it out, when he figured out, and this is one of my dear friends is a guy, Mike Lombardi. Mike coached with Bill or worked with Bill in the scouting department, Cleveland and New England. He's Bill's best friend. And Mike always told me Belichick is going to have something ready that you did not practice that week.
Yes.
He is going to throw something, and it's going to be a 3rd down and 6, and they're going to have to get off the field. And he's going to play a crazy ass defense that no one has seen this is the only time he's going to use the defense, and he's going to probably confuse you and maybe get off the field with it. That's something you got to be ready when you play against a Belichick team.
Let me ask you this. So Bill had this whole dissertation, he comes out and he talks about the entire competitor that they're going against.
Yeah.
And he went player to player. I mean,
that's what he does.
He had a love note about LVE and Parsons and everything. The one player he didn't mention.
Dak.
Yeah. Is that a mind game? Is that a mind game from him that he would leave Dak out of that?
I no.
He's always talked high Dak in the past. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dak lit him up.
Just I forgot to mention Dak.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I was reading it, 3 pages of it, going, okay, Bill. And then I was like, oh, he didn't even say Dak's name.
Yeah.
And he's handing out flowers to everyone on the team. But
my only thing, I hear the defense and I respect Belichick. I mean, he's a master. I just don't see this offense putting up many points. I could be dead wrong. You could be wrong. I just don't see it.
That was my next question to you all is versus the run versus pass, what you guys all felt was going to happen on this offense.
If Dallas doesn't cover these tight ends, this could be a crazy day for them. That's where I think that Daniel Jones could make some hay. If you do not pick up Hunter Henry and hey, Roman, you might think totally different from this. But you look at quarterback rating with those two, well over 100 with Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki. And maybe when everything is going to hell and he can't find anybody, you throw the ball to one of these guys. They're going to make a catch. It's a 6-yard gain. The speed. Do you see downfield play? No, not really. I think because it limits because of what Daniel Jones' arm strength really is. Everything is kind of underneath. If I'm the Cowboys, I'm keeping everything in front of me. Just keep it all in front of me there and try and pressure him that way. And maybe this line will break down where you can get some pressures. But Gesicki and Hunter Henry and those guys, I kind of feel like that's the best avenue for trying to keep the sticks moving for this team.
So it absolutely is, and I got to give a lot of props to Hunter Henry. He's made a couple of fantastic catches so far this season. He's been awesome. But I don't necessarily like. Is Mac's arm strength the best in the league? No. Is it awful? Also, probably not.
Right.
I think it's fine, but with it goes back to what we talked about earlier, right? The offensive line is not giving him time to take these downfield shots,
right?
Because one guy who's been really, really effective so far this season is Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah.
Kendrick Bourne's been really, really good in spurts where you've asked him to be. And then it's just kind of
how consistent has he been catching the ball for you?
Yeah.
I mean, has it been?
Honestly, so far this year.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
I kind of felt like that.
With 10 yards. Every guy they don't have a receiver that's averaging over 9 yards a reception.
Yeah, and that's one of the issues where one guy that they're still
probably
missing,
the offensive line too. Yeah,
that is a big factor in it. But one guy that they're missing that was really supposed to be their field stretcher was Tyquan Thornton, guy they took last year in the second round out of Baylor, where he hasn't played yet this year. He's still on IR. So that's somebody we haven't necessarily seen yet to stretch that offense. Where I don't know how many targets he's actually going to get, but it kind of opens more things up for. I really liked Mario Douglas. Talked about Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Douglas because he seems like a guy that they kind of move him around and the orbit motions and the stuff like that. They kind of try and put him a little bit on the run.
First of all, I have to say that it's really refreshing to actually see that, especially when compared to when Matt Patricia was running this offense.
Oh God,
where I truly felt like I could have a better game plan than Matt Patricia. Couldn't even get the play call in on time for the most part, which is why we saw Mac so frustrated throughout all of our season. But I liked Mario Douglas in the slot a lot. He had a fumble. I believe it was in the Miami game where that was tough to see. But no, they are being really creative with him in a lot of different ways because he made the team as a UDFA before Keyshawn Boutte, the 6th round guy that took out LSU.
Another LSU guy you can't trust.
They're everywhere.
So actually, I will say to Keyshawn's credit, he's actually been really impressive. He hasn't necessarily gotten a whole ton of work in. He was this close to kind of saving the game against the Eagles.
Yeah,
but I'm really encouraged by the receiving core, but it all comes down to block for Mac and actually give him time to do something. And then we can kind of judge where this offense is going, because if you're not getting time to throw, who cares how nice the route concepts might look if the ball can't get there?
And that's going to be your problem.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
From your lips to God's ears.
Yes, it is.
I'm just saying,
but Brian, you know what? They present problems for us too on defense. I mean, I think this is going to be a crazy game. It always is. You play these teams. You play these teams you don't often play, and it's things. Dak was outstanding. This was a game like we were talking about. This is a game that Dak lit him up. In the last play of the game, he hurts his calf, and he might not have ever been the same after that. The calf strain, and also who knows?
Well, Brian, I just from your expertise, I'm one. Maybe I just love the emotion of the game, and I think emotions play a lot in football. And I just think Dallas was embarrassed. The defense is embarrassed. I mean, they got to come in with some fight. They got to come in with an edge. They got to come in with some anger, right? I mean, they can't. I mean, does that play a part of it? Is football? Because I hear these former guys talk, and and I've had the pleasure of talking to a few of them, and they get angry. I mean, it is like the one thing that irritates, and I'm an old school guy, that irritates the old school guys is, after a loss, especially embarrassing one like that, Micah Parsons is exchanging a jersey and they're signing it on the field. But are those days over, or is there some pride left in these guys, or is it just too much of a business now? I mean,
I think the Patriots are a difficult team. They've been. I think they've played well in all their games. I'd be honest. I mean, they got behind early in a couple of them, and then they fought back. I mean, you talk about pride, and you talk about they're not going to quit. I think there is the one thing I know on our show. Actually, it was the show before us today on 105.3 The Fan with Kevin Hagelin and Corey Majors and Mike Bassick. They were talking about. Kevin came up with a stat. Dallas's record after a loss in the Mike McCarthy era, and it was actually Cowboys winning, and it was double-digit wins. It was double-digit score. So after a loss, the next game was a Cowboy win, but double-digit scoring, and it happened several times last year, 5 times, and then the next day they just completely. I don't think you blow out the Patriots at all myself. I think there's a certain amount of pride, but there's also a certain amount of, if you don't play good technique, you're going to get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
You know, and they didn't really play with very good technique. And the Patriots will test you. The Patriots will test you because they're not going to make mistakes. They're just not going to make mistakes. And, you know that they're going to come up with a pretty damn good plan. If you try and do something, they're going to figure you out. You better have another game plan ready. If you're trying to run the same thing over and over and over again, they will figure you out. And so I think this game's going to be a lot closer. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think if you said Dallas's roster's better than New England's, I don't think too many people would argue with you with that. But I also thought Dallas's roster was better than Arizona's, and they got embarrassed last week. So to be honest with you, I'm hopeful as a guy that covers the Cowboys that they find a way. But I wouldn't be surprised if this game was down to the last few minutes in a fourth quarter. Both teams trying to figure out the other one and who's going to make a play. I mean, hell, we've seen the Cowboys before look bad in games like, against the Houston Texans, and it's the last damn drive of the game and you have to go win it, kind of a thing. I honestly don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
To be
I mean, I before the season, you do your wins and losses. I actually thought Dallas would lose this game because I thought they would be looking ahead to San Francisco. But losing to Arizona, I think that kind of nix that for me anyway.
You better find a way. I mean, and no offense here, Roman, but if you're Dallas, you better find a way to win this game, because you go on a 2-game losing streak to San Francisco, then there's a possibility you're going to come out of San Francisco 2-3.
I think their psyche is.
You better figure it out. You better figure it out. Yeah.
I personally don't necessarily have a ton of hope in this game, so I no offense taken here.
Well, I talked to people at Arizona that didn't have a bunch of hope. We interviewed for the pregame show. We're talking with Dave Pash, their play-by-play guy. And I'm like, Dave, I gave him the same question I gave you. Like, what's the path to victory? And he's like, Bryan, there's really not a path to victory here. There's really not. I mean, Dallas has more talent. That Arizona doesn't finish games. They gave up 28 straight points to the Giants. They don't have a good enough roster. It's amazing when you think that your team is doom and gloom, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you're playing the game and there's 4 minutes left and it's coming down to somebody's got to get a stop. That's the NFL, man. I live that. I lived that so much in my life, where it came, every time I thought, okay, we'll be okay today. We weren't. And then there were days where I'm like, we're going to get our ass kicked. And next thing you know, we win by 12 or 14, whatever. And you're like going, how did that happen? How did we just do that?
Oh, absolutely.
But that's a great thing about the NFL. This game, I think, will be a really tough game for both teams. I think there's just going to be, it's going to be who could figure the other one out quickest, and then can you find a way to get enough stops and put the other one in a world of hurt,
Right, and that's the thing where with the Patriots through these first 3 games, especially the first 2 that they lost, they beat themselves.
Yeah.
They went down 16-0 by the end of the first quarter against the Eagles. And then
rally back. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
We were depending on you too, Roman. We were so depending on you.
I'm so sorry. I'll wear all the blame for that loss. But then it's the same thing.
The coach tried to give it to you. Nick Sirianni tried to give you the game.
He did.
And then Hurts tried to give you the game on a fumble. And you got, I'm just like, just please take this game. They're trying to give it to you. They're trying to give it to you here.
To go back to the point I made earlier, even though they lost the game, it was just good to feel something.
Yeah.
Because all of last season, I was numb. There's nothing to be excited about. There's no hope. Life is just brutal. I have to rely on the Huskies every week for some kind of good feeling about football at this point.
Yeah, We've known that pain too. We really have.
Much too often.
We don't speak of 20. We don't speak of 2020, which was. We didn't know who was going to be the quarterback that week. It was super duper fun. So.
Someone put a thing on Twitter, the pictures of Ryan Leaf test, those years, and I actually drove to Atlanta to watch Ryan Leaf play quarterback for the Cowboys against Michael Vick.
I think it was Michael Vick's first start.
Yeah.
I think it was Michael Vick's. Yeah,
we're going to win.
Yeah, but they shuffled quarterbacks that day. They had a guy from Florida.
Yeah,
that guy from
Shane Matthews, I think it was.
I don't know. I don't think it was. No. It was somebody. Was it Shane Matthews?
I thought it was Shane Matthews around that time, but I could be wrong.
It was something, but they were shuffling the quarterback like when they were the first two plays Vic would play, and if they didn't get a first down, they brought in this quarterback from Florida to throw the ball. So, it's crazy. Bad.
Before we wind the show down and talk about, score predictions and all that, let's talk a little college football.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Tell us your joy down there in Miami.
The joy in Miami, it's, with Cristobal, you getting the guy, back, bend at the U, won some national titles. It was a bad year last year. A lot of angry Canes fans, but this year he got rid of a lot of guys. I've talked to a couple Canes, throughout the offseason, and they had said that he got rid of a lot of guys that they weren't bought in. And he changed the culture of that team and got a lot of transfers and overdid the roster. And it looks like it's paying off. I mean, are they national champions? No. But I think Clemson's beatable now. Florida State they look good, but they've shown some flaws. So maybe Miami. We have never seen a Miami Florida State ACC championship game. And as Miami fans, we thought that was going to be the game every year, and it's never happened in our whole time in the ACC. So maybe it'll finally happen this year.
Nice. Bryan, how are your Tigers doing that we can't trust?
Yeah, LSU Tigers. we got the Ole Miss. Can't trust any of those guys. I think the thing with LSU, and it's always something that LSU fans that we deal with, there were times even during the 2019 season with Joe Burrow and how great that was in the national championship and everything. You just didn't really know. And I think there's so much, of course at LSU we have the coach that everybody hates, Brian Kelly. So that's kind of one of those things that we deal with all the time there. LSU is really, really trying to kind of find its way. The Florida State loss, Florida State manhandled us and beat us up pretty bad there. And it was surprising because last year Florida State had beaten us too. It came down to extra points, field goals, blocked, things like that. It was kind of a crazy game at the end. But, the team really is running. Jaden Daniels, the quarterback, has been really, really good. LSU kind of wants to run the football. Malik Neighbors, though, as a wide receiver, is super, super talented. Finding the ways to trying to get him the football. LSU is always going to play in tough games because they don't cover very well on the back end. They're supposed to be really a good pass rushing team. They struggle with that. But, you never know. These SEC games, you play the game and you hope. Arkansas, I know last week was a 17.5-point dog coming into Baton Rouge. The game came down to if Arkansas hadn't used all their timeouts in the beginning of the fourth quarter, LSU would have probably lost that game. I mean, it was just Sam Pittman inexcusably just used all his timeouts, and LSU was able to run out the clock and kick the game-winning field goal. So you just never know with LSU, but in the SEC, it's Georgia and then Alabama is down. So if you want to be able to find a way to win the SEC West, Texas A&M and LSU and Ole Miss and those teams, this is the time to take your shots at Alabama. It doesn't look like they've got a quarterback. They got a good team, but they're struggling at quarterback right now. So get your shots at them while you can.
Right. Roman, would you like to talk about our Huskies?
I would absolutely love to. I got to ask Bryan, was that just a handoff for me to talk about the best quarterback in the country?
I'll tell you what. I'm amazed. I'm honestly, this is going to be a lot of fun when we get to work on the college draft this year. And a lot of us around here with, I know with DallasCowboys.com, I do the draft show. We work on the draft, really I started December 1st and start looking at these players. I'm really excited about looking at all these quarterbacks. I will say this. I saw Washington play early in the year against Boise.
Yep.
And I'm thinking like, man, this looks like a really, usually Boise, these early season games is pretty good. I've seen them go and on the road and play well and beat people and stuff. Man, Washington just manhandled them. And so I'm fascinated by this team, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is a team that comes out of the West that does get in the Final Four in the playoffs. It's just the team just looks too physical to me. They're well coached. The quarterback, the defense, everything about it just looks so well put together.
And they also have the best wide receiver room in the country.
Absolutely.
They really, really
I will
do.
fight USC and I will fight the Ohio State right now about that.
Yeah, we can.
Because no way.
No, and this comes from somebody who loves Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka, a local product from Steilacoom. Shout out. But no, this is like starting with Michael Penix. I have never seen a Husky team like this. And it's something that I make the point over on my podcast all the time, where these are not the Chris Peterson Washington Huskies. And the Chris Peterson Washington Huskies were very well coached also. And I will.
We're sorry, Matt, but we're not. You're not here. You're sick.
No, respectfully, no. I love Caleb Williams too, but I have never seen a team just look in the Chris Peterson era that was more talented than somebody else just play down to the level of competition more often than they did. Right. And that's something where just kind of from the get-go last year, and the best example that I can give from 2022 game film for the Huskies is the Oregon game, where they were 2 touchdown underdogs going into Autzen. The Ducks were ranked number 6 at the time, and they just it was a really close game, but the Huskies for the better part of that game were they just outclassed them. They really did. Yeah. And that's what they've done to every single team this year. Rome Odunze is going to be a first-round wide receiver. I love Jalen McMillan. I don't know how well his game's going to transfer to the NFL. He'll still be an NFL receiver at some point. And then Jalen Polk is just like, he's also just, I think he'd get drafted higher than McMillan does.
I do too at this point. I didn't believe that in the beginning of the season, but now, I mean, the guy has just gone off.
Okay.
Talk about our offensive linemen too.
The offensive line is also unbelievable.
Yeah, all you Husky homers, though, tell me which one of these defensive linemen that you cannot pronounce any of their names. Which one is the best one?
Braylon Trice.
No, well, Trice is the best player, but what about these defensive tackles? This is Tuli and Zion.
So actually, Zion Tupuola-Fatui is also
we call him ZTF.
Yes,
we make it really easy on ourselves. He's ZTF.
Latuli Gasanoa. Is how it's pronounced, and he's actually a really, really talented guy. His whole thing he's a 6th-year senior. The one question that I have about him going into the draft is he's got some knee issues.
Okay.
That I would be sure to check out. He's a really, really talented run defender. He can get after the quarterback a little bit for here and there. And then behind him, somebody that there are a couple guys I'm really excited about. Fatui Tuitele at defensive tackle is just a big, talented kid. He's struggled with injuries throughout his career, but when he's healthy, he can definitely wreak some havoc on the interior. And then there's a kid, true sophomore, Javon Parker, who burned his red shirt last year as a low-ranked 3-star kid from Fordham, Michigan, and has just come in and this dude's a real player.
Asa Turner is my dark horse.
That's a safety, right?
Yeah, he's
the safety.
Yeah, but the guy in the secondary that I always got to shout out is a transfer from Oklahoma State, Jabbar Muhammad.
Yeah.
Muhammad, yeah.
He's not the tallest guy in the world, but there are a few players in the country that are as confident in their ability in one-on-one coverage on the outside as Jabbar is, and I'm waiting for him to get. He's going to get tested tomorrow.
183.
Yeah, he's not a big kid, but he's going to get tested tomorrow against Tyrone McMillan, who is another just uber talented receiver down in Arizona. But I really do. That's the biggest thing for me with this Husky team. The offense is going to take them to the moon. They really are. But the defense is what needs to just show up. And the defense so far this year, I don't care about the stats because the freshmen and the walk-ons gave up 205 yards against Cal starters in the 4th quarter. So I throw that out the window. But the defense has looked so much better this year. They're taking the ball away at a much higher rate. They aren't sacking the quarterback at the same rate, but they're pressuring him in a similar amount. They recorded 22 hurries against Cal. So the defensive line is still doing what it needs to do, in my opinion.
Well, you guys don't go lose that game to Arizona, or I'll be all over your ass about that.
I will just not show up for work on Monday.
Actually, it's not Arizona that's our Achilles heel. For some stupid reason, it's Arizona State.
Tell you what, man, Sun Devil Stadium, hard place to play, man.
They're not playing there this year, though.
There you go. So we got him at Alaska Air Field. Is that where we got to play today? Is that
Alaska Airlines Field at Husky Stadium?
At Husky Stadium. There we go.
We just call it the greatest setting.
Exactly.
Today is the last time I'm doing this podcast.
I'll have you on mine. Love to have you.
There you go. There you go.
I was just curious. Prime. I wanted Bryan. Just your, Colorado and what's your.
You know what, man? I'll tell you what. How can you not be impressed with what they've been able to do? For him to you just go look at the roster. I think they have 6 kids from the previous, the team that went 1-11, and God bless those kids for sticking it out and saying you're not going to run me off. I know you want to run me off, but I'm not going to let you run me off. And
because he did run some of them off.
Oh no, he ran damn 90% of them off. Is what he did, and so the thing that I've been super impressed about is it goes to show, though, if you have a quarterback, if you have a capable quarterback, what's going to happen to Colorado likely is that as the season goes on, the attrition of the season is now this could very well be a bowl game team, this 6-7 win team. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Things in the Pac-12 could be a little crazy. You never know. But I think what's going to happen is attrition is going to get them. They're starting to get some injuries now. And so can they hold things together? The offensive line is a little bit shaky. They like Deion said it the other day. He goes, "You better get us now. Yeah. If you're going to take a shot at us, you better get us now." And I think he's absolutely right about that. But I'll tell you what, I'm super impressed with what he did at Jackson State, and then to come to Colorado and the way that the fans in Boulder have just embraced him, the programs embraced him. The schools embrace them, the alumni, the national, everybody involved. I'm super, super impressed by what he's been able to accomplish there. And like he said, you better get your shots on him now because this is going to be the one time you get. And it's a shame because you got, UCLA and USC and everybody leaving. Yeah. And he's leaving too. He's leaving too, and
we have a party of 2 that's going to be on the West Coast.
Currently
right now.
I think it's crazy.
They're crying their eyes out, not doing a damn thing about it.
I think it's crazy that Colorado and USC are playing this big noon kickoff thing, and then I had a USC alum tell me, I'm like, man, does it bother you? And he goes, you know what? He goes, no, because we better get damn used to it. We play in the Big Ten now. There's going to be games where all of a sudden we're going to have to travel to West Lafayette, Indiana to play Purdue, and it's going to be at 9 a.m. We just better get up and get ready to go. That's just the way it's going to be. So, but super impressed with what Deion's done, and I can see them only getting better. I really can because he understands the modern player. He really
That's what
does.
I think is recruiting. That's what I'm curious to see.
He really does.
Just absolutely skilled.
And he hadn't had the opportunity to work the transfer portal, like the other teams have. And that's what I kept trying to say is everybody was like, oh, this team. I was like, he hasn't been able to do the same recruiting and he hasn't been able to do the same, work the transfer portal. And I knew once he got to some of the bigger names in the Pac-12 that the Cinderella story was going to was going to get left
I don't know.
behind. They're doing great, but
you guys want to talk about how beautiful that school is in Seattle, and it really, really is. And Coral Gables is not bad either. I've been there too. Yeah. But that school in Boulder is gorgeous in the Flatirons. I mean, it is you talk about like if you're going, I know these kids are going because they want the flash and the dash and all that stuff and the opportunities. But talk about going to school. There's some pretty walks at that place going to class.
Mm-hmm. So I will say from the Seattle, the Husky media, from the conversations we've had, that's the one place that most people were like, yeah, that's the one I'm going to miss the most, being able to travel there.
Right.
Oh no, absolutely. Yeah. There's some stops that you make in that, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I've never been to Pullman. But
you have missed 0.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's on the other side of the ridge, right? Yeah. And you're on the other side of the mountains.
Oh, I've been on the Idaho border.
I've been. Now I'll tell you what. I got my ass kicked in Wyoming one time. We played a game when I was when I was at TCU, and we played at Wyoming, and that's a pretty school too. I mean, it's like a stadium of 28,000, and you're kind of like, man, this is kind of neat. And then all of a sudden, it's like you're wearing a sweat top at the first half, and then it starts violently snowing in the second half of the game. And you're like, okay, I don't have enough clothes on right now for this thing. You know, there's some really pretty schools around the country, though. That's the great thing about college football.
I love college football.
I do too. I really do. Really do.
It has brought us lots of joys. Okay, before we wrap this up, Mike, give me your score prediction for Sunday.
Well, I got to stay consistent because I gave it earlier, but listening to the show and listening to Bryan, it's all.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I think it's going to be a boring game. I said it's going to be a boring game, but I think Dallas is going to be in control, and I think they kind of double-digit win, 24-10.
Bryan?
You know what? I think the Patriot defense holds them in this game. I really do, and it could go a couple different ways. You know, Dallas can find a way not to move the football, can 3 and outs and stuff like that, turn over the ball. I do think Dallas is the better team, and I'm not trying to be a homer here. I think it's going to be low scoring. I said 23-13, but it wouldn't surprise. I felt bad about the Arizona game last week. I feel bad about this game in a way that I don't know how it's going to go, because I think that Dallas, I'm banking on them bouncing back, but man, there's 3 and outs, turnovers, funny bounces. You know, Patriots find a way to blitz you, ball knocked loose, it's on the ground. And these type of games scare me, but I went Dallas 23-13.
Go ahead, Roman.
I've got a couple different trains of thought here, because I want to, as I said earlier, I
pick the Patriots. You don't pick the Patriots, you got no guts.
So that's where I was going to get to.
Pick them. People can't argue with you.
No, not at all.
They can't. I mean, if they do, they're not watching the Patriots play.
I agree. So from that standpoint, I'm going to go 20-17 Patriots. It's
Okay.
going to be a low scoring game.
Yeah.
And it really is going to come down to, does the offensive line hold up enough against the pass rush, in my opinion. And I think that now that people are getting a little bit healthier, that this might be the first game where we see what the Patriots offense can actually look like. And I think no Trayvon Diggs for the Cowboys might hurt, and Kendrick Bourne might have a decent day.
I can't disagree with him. I really can't.
Yeah. I have us at 20-10, Cowboys taking it. I do think that Christian Gonzalez is a huge factor, taking CeeDee Lamb out of the game. And it's going to have to be one with either getting 2 Cooks or Gallup or Pollard on the ground. But yeah, I don't see this being a super high scoring game. I think there's going to be a lot of defense, and 20-10, but
one of these defenses could score. Well, I mean, I know the Patriots have 1 interception. But yeah, just be careless with the ball, and both teams are kind of. I think both teams have really good defenses. We'll see what We'll see if Mike goes into shell calling plays. I mean, he's going to try and open things up. Are they going to have success? Are they going to be able to block? I have my doubts, but like I said, it honestly could. This is one of those that could go either way games. It really could.
Yeah. I have to thank all of you for joining us this evening. I'm sorry that Mass couldn't be with us, but he would have just wanted to talk about Kalen Williams and USC, so whatever. I hear enough about it. I hear enough about that. So anyways, but thank you all for being here. Cowboys Nation, I am sure that Massey is going to put up the score prediction to try and win that t-shirt with Twisted Gorilla. I'm fairly certain, I haven't even had to check, but I'm pretty certain no one got that exact score last week. Yeah. Not even close. So Massey will get that up. We do have the Michael Gallup giveaway jersey. We did have to start that YouTube channel over. We're trying to get us up to 1,000 subscribers. Once we get it there, we are going to be giving away the signed Michael Gallup jersey. And you know what? We got to say it. Go Cowboys.
Absolutely.